We have so many stories in our lives, but our stories are not always heard. On the Hear My True Story podcast, we tell our own true stories.
Before the white car parked, our head teacher had scattered. Looking at him, I could only see his tie that was flying backwards, waving at us, and he disappeared in thin air.
I want to share my life story. I want to share my voice with the people because I know that just a small joke I can tell through this podcast, it will make someone smile.
When you ask me what I fear most in life, I would definitely respond to you and say it's fear itself.
We are fighting for togetherness. We are fighting for equal rights. We are fighting to end injustice.
You don't have to be a storyteller or writer because, guess what? Life writes the best stories.
Hear my true story.
This is your favorite time of the week with your number one podcast.
Hear my true story.
Yeah, our dear listeners, thank you so much for always joining us on our podcast, Hear My True Story. Yeah, it is me, your host, Otako. Yeah. Wow, today is quite a wonderful day. And as I say, every day there is something special. And for that reason, I would like to say I'm so excited for today's podcast. And something new for the podcast is here. You know, you have been listening to the podcast and always hearing Otako, the voice of Otako. But now we are getting the team big and big. And for that reason, I would like to introduce our wonderful guest of this week.
This week's special guest on your favorite podcast.
Hear my true story.
Yes. Oh my God. You see, you are listening to my jingles, eh? Are they good?
Yeah.
Oh, you like them?
Wonderful. I love them.
Why? Why do you love them?
Well, you are a funny person, I would say.
Anyway,
I really enjoy listening to your voice.
Thank you so much.
In the train,
wow,
working. I really, really enjoy the podcast.
I'm honored to have someone who has been following the podcast from the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing to host you again on the podcast. For the listeners, I would like to introduce our guest today, who's going to be part of the team of Hear My True Story. And she will say her name, and then I'll say more about what's going to happen. So please, our guest, can you maybe introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Carol Chiwanuka. I am currently living in Germany, Stuttgart, and I am doing training, apprenticeship. Yeah, that is really a difficult word, but yeah. And in kindergarten with children, I enjoy listening to podcasts, Otako's podcasts especially. Oh my God, I have to stay on this point because I enjoy them so much and I'm always laughing. So yeah, that's why I have to make this point clear. Yeah.
Okay. You're always laughing. I like laughing, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
There's a way it makes someone to really heal, for someone to be really, happy. You know, when you laugh, you reduce your stress.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Today,
okay.
my friend told me that there are very, very small things that make people laugh in this whole world. Because I was telling her about my shifting and how my bed broke, and it really made, whenever I think about it, I laugh about it because that way, yeah. And then she was telling me that very small things make people laugh or make people happy. We don't need a lot to be happy in this world.
I think so. People don't need to really struggle or to be happy. You just make yourself happy. I mean, maybe we say because of our background. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on with our podcast. So, our dear listeners, I would like to welcome Carol Chiwanuka to join the team of Hear My True Story. She's going to be the co-host of the podcast from this week until on. Wow, you are welcome. And for that reason, I really just want to welcome you on our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful podcast. And it is going to be a very good thing for us to really have you. And we are happy for that reason.
I say it is going to be a blast. I am really honored to be the co-host of the podcast. And when you told me about this, I was really, at first I wasn't sure if is it really true? Is he really asking me?
Yeah. I mean, I because I did when I worked with Carol already before. She told so many stories on this podcast, and I've had people listening to your podcast and saying, "Wow, I think this is a really nice person to hear too." I mean, when she tells her story, when she explains things, and it is really clear. And I've had some of our followers and subscribers saying, "Wow, I think it is a good thing to really have a co-host on the podcast," and that's why we say we're happy. And for that reason, I want to just give you a very wonderful applause for that.
Thank you so much for the applause. It has warmed my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, we are happy. We are really happy to have you on the podcast, and we are so excited to really talk so much about this. Yeah. So I want to ask you something.
Yes.
How do you feel to say that now you're going to be co-hosting on a podcast?
I sincerely speaking, I don't know how I feel because I think I'm a bit scared because I have never worked on such projects or on such things, mostly computer or internet things or podcasts. I've never worked on it, but in my life, I'm a struggler. I go for everything. If I have an opportunity in front of me, I grab it and I use it. So this is why I'm ready and I'm willing to give in whatever I can, to put in that time that I can, to invest in all I can to make this podcast alive. Yeah, and I would really, really love to tell you about what inspired me to accept your proposal.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, since I've also already worked with you and I enjoy working with you as a person, besides the podcast, and you inspire me a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And also that I really, really want my voice out there. I want to let the people know about the world we are living in, or even I want to just have my voice out there. I want to share my life story. I want to share my voice with the people because I know that just a small joke I can tell through this podcast, it will make someone smile. And I think this is my life goal. This is what I want for my life. I want to make people smile if I can.
Or maybe share your experience and they really get inspired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they maybe they can also learn from it. They can get something out of it. And also give people platform where they can express themselves, where they can be who they are. Because some people it's hard for them to get out there with their faces open. But a podcast, it's also somehow something where people also have a chance to express, to talk their feelings, to also share their experiences, share their skills. So I want to work on such a thing. I want to be part of it.
Wow. I'm really happy to have someone really like you of course, I've worked with you. Just like we said, you talked about it. we have worked for a long time together. I think not really long, but yeah. I mean, it's long.
It's enough. It's enough.
Okay. I want to ask you something. When did you first encounter podcasting? Your first time you encountered podcasting?
My very first time is when you told me about it. When you said when you asked me if I can be part of your podcast, like to tell a story on your podcast. That is when I first heard about podcasts, to be honest. And then during my training or my school, the teacher gave us work, and sometimes I look for it through the internet and I can't find it. And then I say, some people share things on the podcast. So I go on Spotify, then I put in something like, say, a title of education, and they're going to bring me so many podcasts about education. So this also interested me, that people you also put in some good information where people also learn from it. Yeah. So this is how I got to be more interested in podcasts, and this is how I also got to know about podcasts. But this is through you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honored to have introduced you to the podcasting world. But if I ask you something, when you first told your first story on our podcast, on Hear My True Story podcast, and then you had yourself on all these platforms, and then people were contacting you, maybe people are giving you feedback. I mean, how did you feel about that?
To be honest, the first moment I had my voice, I was not happy about my voice. I was really disappointed in myself. How can I have this kind of voice? But the more I listened to it, the more I got to love my voice, and the more I wanted it to be out there. And then after you making the podcast public, that people were listening to them, so people started contacting me, appreciating how I talked, or even appreciating what I said, or finding my things very funny, or the things that I said, even the things that I don't remember right now. Yeah. So this is how I also started learning to love my voice. But before, no. I didn't love my voice. I don't know, but speaking in a microphone or speaking in something like which brings the echo of your voice back.
Yeah.
Your voice doesn't sound good, trust me.
But I mean, you're an actress. Yeah. You're an actress. You've been acting in films back in Uganda, of course. Our dear listeners, Carol, she's also from Uganda. I'm also from Uganda. And we are both based here in Germany. And I think it's really a big connection, yeah.
Yeah. But you see, also working in the film industry in Uganda, I used to watch my movies, but I was very skeptical on watching them. I was like, oh, why did I look like this here? Why did I talk like this, Usually when you're talking or when you're acting, it's just you're in the moment, you're in the act inside, and it's very hard to think about what you want to say. Usually the things just flow. So it's the same thing on the podcast. Things just flow. Yeah. But I love my voice. I really learned how to love my voice.
Wow. You know what? I'm really happy that having hosted you on the podcast and you told your story and now you love your voice. That's really, really a positive feedback. I'm so happy to have already a co-host that has got some positive feedback from from our work. And I'm honored to work with you again on this long journey of podcasting. But then what you talked about reminded me of my experience. Back in Uganda, I used to do comedy on big stage at the Uganda National Theatre. And I was appearing on most of all Ugandan TVs. And I liked looking at me acting myself on screen, but I didn't like the voice.
Really?
I didn't like my voice. it took me time to love my voice. It took me years to say, Otako, come what, come rain, come sunshine. You talk, that's your voice. You love your voice. And I don't know. But after also doing a podcast and then hearing myself many times, I now love my voice. I really love it. I mean, anyone out there who's listening to this podcast and you're thinking of maybe doing a podcast and maybe your voice is your obstacle, please put it aside. Just speak. We are beautiful. We are really wonderful people regardless of how we look, how our voices sound. That's what makes it a beautiful world we are living in.
That's true. Yeah, you also reminded me one time when we were shooting, I don't know if you remember, one time when we were shooting the video of Omuti Creative. By then it was Arts for Change.
Yeah.
So we made this video where everyone was talking about their experience. And so Sharon was talking, the administrator.
Yeah.
She was talking, and after talking, then I come in with my voice, and I was like with a bass. I felt like I was talking like a man. Oh my God. Like, you know how Sharon talks like so sweet, so nice, like a lady. And then I come after her part, it was my part, that way how they joined them. Oh my God, I felt so bad. I felt so embarrassed. I did not want to watch this video again. So after she's talking, then I come, yeah. And then we go to the outreaches, Oh my God. It was really a challenge. It has recording myself, filming myself. It has always been an obstacle in my life. It has always been challenging, like looking back to the work that I've done, seeing it on camera because I'm talking or I'm acting. Acting is not a problem. Talking was always a problem. Yeah, but through my true story, I really, really started to love my voice. I really started to enjoy listening to myself. Even I started making videos for people where I'm talking to them as birthday gifts,
Wow.
So it really inspired me, to be honest.
To be honest, I'm really happy. And it's really, really... But I before I ask you something else, let me just make this part through.
Hit subscribe and don't miss the next episode. Hear my true story.
Yeah. So our dear listeners, please, you are free to subscribe, follow us on all platforms of podcasting, and that will be really wonderful for us. I mean, Carol, there's something that you said about wanting your voice to be out there, to be listened to people. I mean, what is the why? What is the big point? What is your like something that really sparks you?
Well, it's a number of things. Growing up in Uganda, you're a kid. Usually our voices are not out there. You're not allowed to talk to the old people, like to reply them when they are talking. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that. You're supposed to act in a way. Or people expect, let's say, women to represent themselves in a way, And currently we are in a world where we are free, where you're allowed to do whatever you want, where you are allowed to talk at least whatever you want. I don't let religion stop me. I don't let anything stop me. So this is why I want my voice to be out there. This is why I want to be heard, to cover up for all the times that I was never heard. There are so many things that, let's say, happened to my life or happened somewhere, somehow, and I didn't say a word because I thought no one is going to listen to me, because I thought I won't be heard. I thought my voice was too small, or my voice was too bad, or my voice was like a man's voice. Yeah, Really, it is like a man's voice, but I love it, you know.
I don't know what is a man's voice and what's and what's not a man's voice. I don't want to comment about what I don't know.
Like a bass, trust me.
Anyway, so I mean, do you have a point where you say that your voice was never had a moment that you remember?
Yeah. Let's say when I was in school. I remember when I was in school, boarding school, Uganda boarding school. They stole my things, like everything that my mom packed for me in the suitcase. I went and told the matron, like the matron is someone who sleeps, or how can I explain matron?
Like a swing spy zone, like a caretaker.
A caretaker, exactly. Yeah. So she's our caretaker. But I think she thought we were poor at our place. So she's like, you did not bring anything. What would they steal from you, you know? So I brought my concern to her that everything of mine was stolen, but she chose not to listen to me because she had her expectations, or she had her interpretation of how I am, how my life is, and she'd never listen to me. So these are some of the things that happened, and I was never listened to. They hurt me. I did not take them to heart, but I would have been listened to, you know?
Yeah.
She would have done something. She would have talked to the kids.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So such things. Yeah.
Such things make you really want to be, your voice to be heard, your voice to be heard by people because you have a platform. And that's why this is really nice. We can talk, we can say anything that we want to say because we have that voice that we can really share with people out there. Yeah. I mean, what you talked about of children, this is something that reminds me of my childhood. I mean, when like, for example, for me, the village I grew up from, when you ask a question and you speak out to ask a question, that is a big problem. You can be beaten. Yeah, they punish you for asking a question. And then they will also punish you for not asking a question. That's how difficult it was for me growing up as a child in Uganda in a small village. When you ask a question, they will beat you up and then you'll cry. And then when you cry, they also beat you up. Why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
You see, that's how hard it could be really as a child in Uganda, and you want to really speak out. I mean, we are all studying to be educators here, educators here in German. You know what I'm talking about. But when you remember your childhood in Uganda, you see things are really tough out there.
Yeah. But also here, they say in school, they say in Germany, they say, no answer is wrong, you know. And then when you say your answer, that teacher will say that is wrong, or the teacher will not take your answer.
But they're encouraging you that there's no answer. No answer is wrong.
But still, let's say if I talk about something, let's say they're talking about nature, and then I come and say, for me, a stone is nature. But the teacher is not seeing a stone as a nature, as a part of nature. He will not write my answer on the chalkboard because it is not nature. But he says that no answer is wrong. If no answer is wrong, then why doesn't he put my answer also on the chalkboard where he's writing tree as nature on the chalkboard? You know what I mean?
I mean, then you can tell the teacher, please write that down. Anyway, I mean, the point is that when you talk about our voices as children back in Uganda being suppressed, it was from school. You know, when we're in school, there are things that really were really hard. That when a teacher says, please answer the question, and you don't answer the question, you'll be beaten, punished. And then when you answer a wrong question, you'll also be punished because it is wrong. Then you have to be either you answer right question or you don't when you don't answer or put up a hand that I know something, then you're also beaten. So you are in a place where your voice is always being suppressed.
That's true.
And that makes it really, and for me, as one of my reasons is that choosing to really do podcasting is that I didn't have these chances to really speak always, whether wrong or right. But now I can share my information on the podcast, and it's up to the listener to say that's right or it's not right. And you can jump the episode. It is a choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. But it is really a good idea that at least such a thing is there to empower people to speak up, to speak, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, to move on, I would want to just say I'm really looking forward to wonderful stories from you. I mean, as a co-host of the podcast, and then our listeners will really also be looking forward to hearing a lot from you, Carol.
I'm also excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited that the people are going to listen to my voice.
I look forward to good feedback because I already got good feedback from the episodes we did with you. By the way, our dear listeners, Carol Chwanka did so many episodes with us on Hear My True Story podcast, and we have a lot of episodes where she told her personal stories, where she shared about her experience of living in Germany and also her experiences of experiencing dogs in Germany and dogs in Uganda. I mean, there's a lot of stories that you have done with us.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed listening to myself.
I see.
But I'm also really looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, I also look forward to that. Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to share with our listeners that you say they should look forward to?
I think the listeners should they should wait. I'm going to surprise you.
Yeah.
They should just
I
keep
really
up.
like
They should
surprises.
just subscribe.
Yeah.
I have a lot coming. I have prepared. Yeah.
What title should we give this episode? Because it is introducing Carol Chwanka. Why? Oh, so why do you, what really made you to do podcasting? I hated my voice.
Yeah. Hey, that was really a nightmare in my life, listening to my voice. Trust me, even when I wanted to listen to a voicemail that I wanted to know what I told the person, I was not brave enough to listen to my own voice from a voicemail that I sent. Wow. I really hated my voice.
But that was a really big story. But you have overcome the story, I think.
I have overcome it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Carol. Before we do anything, I would just want to say, I would call this a wrap of the episode. Time is against us. We did it really late. And it has been a quick podcast. I mean, we had to do a lot of preparations, working on the microphone, working on your computer, trying to find an online platform that we can really use to really tell the podcast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really easier.
No, but I'm really happy that we did not give up. We still tried everything.
Yeah. Okay. I would like you to maybe say bye to our dear listeners and then tell them who you'll be, your name that you'll be here on the podcast that they should always hear. Carol or Carol Chwanka.
Thank you so much, our dear listeners. I am really looking forward to tell you stories, to come up with new ideas, to bring people to everything. Yeah, you can call me Carol J. Smith or Carol J. or Carol Smith. Yeah, I am really, really looking forward to bring up new podcasts, all the podcasts, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, our dear listeners, thank you so much for listening to the Hear My True Story podcast. And it has been myself, Otako, with Carol
J. Smith.
Carol J. Smith with Otako on the Hear My True Story podcast. And we would like to say bye to you.
Bye.
We not only have voices for a podcast, but also faces for YouTube. Don't miss your next episode. Hear my true story.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Music by Edwin Matovo, hosted and produced by Otako. Subscribe to our podcast for more stories and visit us on our website, hearmytruestory.com, for more stories. All the links are listed in the show notes of this podcast.